Thank you very much. May I just start by saying that each and every one of you are my favourite people because on a hot summer's afternoon, you don't want to be frolicking in a Lido. You want to be inside a darkened room watching a 90-year-old Busby Berkeley movie about frolicking in wood. In 1933, the Great Depression had shattered the American dream. The country was broke and unemployment was skyscraper high. Into this turmoil, Warner Brothers gave an exhausted nation a reason to cheer, releasing 3 era-defining musicals in just 8 months. 42nd Street, Gold Diggers of 1933, and today's film, Footlight Parade, which might just be the wildest, most daring, and underappreciated of the 3. Made at breakneck speed, released 20 days after shooting Wrapped, Footlight Parade bursts with invention, audacity, energy, synchronized swimmers, and a camera clinging for dear life to Busby Berkeley's imagination. That wild momentum wasn't just a stylistic choice. It reflected a moment of upheaval across show business. Vaudeville was gasping its last breath, and the talkies were taking over. As part of this transition, many cinemas in the 1920s and 1930s staged live Broadway numbers before the main feature. This mix of live and filmed entertainment is a perfect snapshot of show business in flux. In this changing landscape, 2 short stories dramatizing the transition caught the eye of studio head Jack Warner. Seeing their relevance, he brought the rights and inspired a screenplay about an industry forced to reinvent itself. At the center of the film is the character of stage director turned impresario Chester Kent. It was inspired by a real-life producer called Chester Hale, a Broadway choreographer who was known for pioneering revue-style performances. Fresh from directing the dialogue sequences in 42nd Street, Lloyd Bacon brought sharp timing and visual clarity into the movie, which he had honed as a supporting actor in Charlie Chaplin films. Here, he delivers a zicky backstage drama with rapid-fire dialogue that matches the pace and rhythm of the dance numbers. For the musical sequences, Warner Brothers called in their rising star, Busby Berkeley. With no formal dance training, he saw choreography not as stage movement, but as cinema itself, threading the camera through legs, floating it overhead, and transforming the chorus into living kaleidoscopes. Over in Culver City, MGM was making Dancing Lady, starring Joan Crawford, Clark Gable, and introducing a certain Fred Astaire. Warner Brothers, keen not to be outshone, pulled out all the stops. They reunited Ruby Keeler and Dick Powell for their 3rd romantic pairing of 1933. Keeler's unpolished innocence and tap-dancing moxie, mixed with Powell's boyish tenor and matinee idol good looks, had made them the era's sweethearts. And then Warner's made a bold move. They gave the lead to James Cagney. Best known for hurling punches and grapefruits, here Cagney swapped cement shoes for dance shoes. Seizing the chance to show off a skill he'd honed long before Hollywood pegged him as the eternal gangster. With this brilliantly caffeinated performance, Cagney doesn't just steal the show, he rewrites the blueprint for the Hollywood leading man. Joan Blondell plays Nan Prescott, Kent's loyal secretary and sardonic moral compass. She and Cagney were already a tried and tested double act, having established their rat-a-tat-patter across stage and screen for many years previously. Just like 42nd Street and Gold Diggers of 1933, Footlight Parade saved its big musical numbers for the final third of the film. These numbers are standalone showstoppers designed purely to dazzle, and are a canvas for Busby Berkeley's imagination, pulling from vaudeville and Ziegfeld traditions to deliver massive sets, intricate patterns, and gravity-defying visuals. First, we have a reservation at the Honeymoon Hotel, which is a cheeky sequel to 42nd Street's Shuffle Off to Buffalo, exploring not the journey to a marriage, but the joys of the wedding night itself. It has many Berkeley-esque obsessions, flustered guests, darting newlyweds, chorus girls in lingerie, but no overhead surrealism. Now, this is because it's not directed by Busby Berkeley, but a choreographer called Larry Ceballos. Ceballos was hired to choreograph the whole film, but he lacked Berkeley's cinematic flair. The number works more thanks to the songwriters Al Dubing and Harry Warren. The song sways with a campy energy, but it's undercut by regrettable racial stereotyping. When Berkeley became available, he was brought in to replace Ceballos, who later sued for breach of contract. Berkeley had in mind an elaborate water ballet, complete with purpose-built pool and cascading waterfall. And he auditioned numerous songwriters before settling on Stanley Fane and Irving Carhal's By a Waterfall. The melody and lyrics gave him exactly the mood he had been looking for. By a Waterfall, or as I like to think of it, Corines in Chlorine, is Berkeley at his most extravagant. A custom-built water tank, hydraulic lifts, over 150 swimmers, including Olympians, forming human fountains in a dream ballet. The camera dives, glides, and soars through a swirl of synchronized swimmers and suggestive spouts. A spectacle still jaw-dropping nearly a century on. Ruby Keeler later recalled the physical toll of diving in a heavy wig and a waterlogged costume. But the result is dazzling, an Art Deco fantasia and one of film's most iconic musical numbers. The final number, Shanghai Lil, is almost a self-contained musical. It lets Cagney shine as a dancer, matching Keeler's hesitant grace with sharp, character-driven moves. The number follows a lovesick sailor who's searching for his fleeing Shanghai Lil, played by Keeler in cliched, problematic yellowface. Warner Brothers were aware of the scene's racial caricatures and delayed showing it to Chinese diplomats, publicly claiming that the sequence wasn't ready, whilst privately conceding it was offensive. The number develops from intimate duets to mass choreography, then patriotic spectacle. Sailors split placards revealing the image of President Roosevelt, a giant American flag, and a blue eagle, which was the symbol of the National Recovery Administration, part of Roosevelt's New Deal. Critics called Shanghai Lil one of the greatest musical finales of early Hollywood, and Cagney's surprise singing debut was a big hit. Shooting wrapped on September the 15th, and just 2 weeks later, audiences were lining up at the Strand Theatre in New York for its premiere. Traffic halted, marionettes danced, confetti rained down, and chorus girls kicked in the eyes. Jack Warner declared it the greatest musical of all time. Marketing included everything from chewing gum, tire covers, balloons and caps, to chorus girl leg bottle openers. The film grossed $2.4 million on a $700,000 budget, giving Warner Brothers its first quarterly profit in 3 years. Variety called it the best musical of the genre's revival and noted that it would hold up even without the songs. Footlight Parade was made in a moment of national crisis, but a new president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, brought fresh hope with his New Deal, and Warner Brothers backed him. And in Cagney's portrayal of Chester Kent, Warner's created a Roosevelt-like figure, all drive and invention, leading a team through tough times towards collective triumph. Yes, Footlight Parade reflects the politics of its era, but to dwell too long on that context is to miss the pure joy of the thing. Jack Warner, desperate to save a struggling studio in the age of the talkie, commissions a film about a producer desperate to save his career in the age of a talkie. Warner's puts director Lloyd Bacon and choreographer Busby Berkeley under pressure to deliver a hit. Berkeley asks for original songs and answers with a water tank. He drenches Ruby Keeler in choreography. Cagney drenches himself in sweat. A film about the high-stakes panic of creating a hit to a tight deadline becomes a film made in the high-stakes panic of creating a hit to a tight deadline. As the movie ends, Chester Kent, Busby Berkeley, Jack Warner, and Franklin D. Roosevelt all lead us to a triumphant musical finale, with a hit that saved careers, studios, and spirits. Now, to quote one of Warner Brothers' biggest stars of the 1930s, that's all, folks. If you like this, please tell your friends that I've been Miles Eady. Check out more of this kind of thing at mileseady.com. If you didn't enjoy this, then tell your friends I've been Lin-Manuel Miranda. I'll be watching the film, and I would absolutely love to speak to you afterwards. But let's get to it. Busby Berkeley is sat atop a moving camera crane. The pool is filled with 80,000 gallons of water. 400 stagehands are pumping 7,500 gallons a minute. The waterfall is flowing. The synchronized swimmers are poised. The film is loaded, and James Cagney is pacing backstage. Put our bathing caps on, take a deep breath, and let's dive into Footlight Parade.